Philosophy of education is a label applied to the study of the purpose, process, nature, and ideals of education. It can be considered a branch of both philosophy and education. Education can be defined as the teaching and learning of specific skills, and the imparting of knowledge, judgment, and wisdom, and is something broader than the societal institution of education we often speak of. Some people are at higher risk of developing obesity because they possess genetic variants that affect how the brain processes sensory information and regulates feeding and behavior. The findings support the growing body of evidence that obesity is a disease whose roots are in the brain. The fact is that those different types of services affect many different dimensions of the well-being of people, and defining human well-being is also extremely challenging. However, we identified that there are certain items that provide you basic material for life, whether it be food, shelter, or happiness. A young man from a small provincial town, a man without independent wealth, without powerful family connection, and without a university education, moved to London in the late 1580s and, in a remarkably short time, became the greatest playwright not of his age alone but of all time. How did Shakespeare become Shakespeare? In the measure, your body is 2/3 water, and so it is really important that you consume enough fluid to stay hydrated and healthy. If you don't get enough fluid, you may feel tired, get headaches, and not perform at your best. As to the Industrial Revolution, one cannot dispute today the fact that it has succeeded in inaugurating in a number of countries the level of mass prosperity which was undreamt of in the days preceding the Industrial Revolution. But, on the immediate impact of Industrial Revolution, there were substantial divergences among writers. The border itself between Mexico and the United States is fraught with a mix of urban and desert terrain and spans over 1,900 miles. Both the uninhabited areas of the border and urban areas are where the most drug trafficking and illegal crossings take place. We've spent a lot of money over the last 70 years on flood control, and it's protected millions of people and has saved Earth billions of dollars. We've built dams to hold back the water, we've built levees to keep the water off the people, and we've raised the ones that were originally started in 1718. Researchers have uncovered fundamental new information about the malting characteristics of barley grains. They say their finding could pave the way to more stable brewing processes or new malts for craft brewers. A new study comprehensively reveals how civil wars impact wildlife in countries affected by conflict. Researchers found that the main impacts of civil wars on native mammals are often indirect, ultimately arising from institutional and socio-economic changes, rather than from direct military tactics. It is generally thought that a person cannot accept an offer of which they are unaware because in order to create a binding contract the parties must reach an agreement. If their wishes merely happen to coincide, that may be very convenient for both, but it does not constitute a contract and cannot legally bind them. Scientists have improved a promising battery technology, creating a single, crystal, nickel-rich cathode that is hardier and more efficient than before. It's one step toward improved lithium-ion batteries that are common in electric vehicles today. Increasing nickel content in the cathode is on the drawing board of lithium. The conventional model of schooling emerged in Prussia in the 18th century. Alternatives have so far failed to teach as many children as efficiently. Classrooms, hierarchical year groups, standardized curriculums and fixed timetables are still the norm for most of the world's nearly 1.5 billion school children. The latest scientific evidence on the nature and strength of the links between diet and chronic diseases is examined and discussed in detail in the following sections of this report. This section gives an overall view of the current situation and trends in chronic diseases at the global level. It has long been known that insects such as pollinators and pests can distinguish between plants by the unique bouquet of chemicals they release. What's new is the idea that plants use their emissions to talk among themselves. The brain is divided into two hemispheres, called the left and the right hemispheres. Each hemisphere provides a different set of functions, behaviors, and controls. The right hemisphere is often called the creative side of the brain, while the left hemisphere is the logical or analytic side of the brain. The right hemisphere controls the left side of the body, and the left hemisphere controls the right side. Artificial neural networks have recently become the state-of-the-art technique for crucial signal processing applications such as specific frequencies classification, structural health monitoring, disease detection in power electronics circuitry, and motor fault detection. This is an expected outcome as there are numerous advantages of using adaptive and compact D-counterparts. Shrimp farmers used to hold animals in nursery ponds for 30 to 60 days, now they try to move them into grow-out ponds in less than 30 days. This reduces stress on the animals and dramatically increases survivals in the growth-out ponds. Many farms that abandoned nursery ponds have gone back to them, and the results have been surprisingly positive. Change is inevitable in any sphere of life. Although the results of change can bring great benefits, the process of change can be intensely traumatic, involve loss of choice, power and status, and when change happens in the workplace, it can even lead to loss of jobs. Many businesses and organizations use a model called the change curve to understand and manage how people react to change. The uniquely scented flavor of vanilla is second only to chocolate in popularity on the world's palate. It's also the second most expensive spice after saffron. But highly labor-intensive cultivation methods and the plant's temperamental life cycle and propagation mean production on a global scale is struggling to keep up with the increasing demand for the product.